All right. Um, all right, here we go. So, we're starting with solving equations. When there's an equal sign, which before today there has not been an equal sign. Like, what are we doing? Okay. Before today we've had problems like this. There was no equal sign. X could be anything, we don't know. But once you throw an equal sign in, now we can figure out what X has to be in this situation. So instead of simplifying, we are solving. What we have been doing was called simplifying. Okay, so there's two sides of the equals. Everything on this side has to be the same as everything on this side. So there's kind of two rules. You're trying to get X by itself on one side of the equals to figure out what it is. Okay, the second rule is whatever you do to one side, you have to do the exact same thing to the other. Okay, I know this is really basic today, but if we get the foundation good, when it gets, by the end of the week, it'll be large problems. So if we can get the steps, the foundation good, then we should be good by the end of the week, hopefully. All right, so we're trying to get X by itself, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So how do I get rid of a plus 3? Minus 3. Now, a lot of you know this in your head. It's just practice. It's just warm up. Because what number plus 3 equals 7? 4. So, but to get rid of a plus 3, we're going to minus 3. The reason I want to do that is because I want just X over here. Plus 3 minus 3 cancels out. It's just 0. So all we have left on the left side over here is X. On the right side, we have 7 minus 3, which is 4. Okay, again, do we really need to check this? No, but how would I check this answer? Right, does 4 work up here? Does 4 plus 3 equal 7? Yeah, so anyway, that's the basics. Are there some that can trick us? Well, maybe the fractions and decimals, I don't know. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and jump in here. Number 1, this is true or false. So, does 5 times 6 equal 2 plus 3 times 6? Question mark. So they're claiming it's true. So 5 times 6 is 30. They're just trying to get you to the idea that both sides of the equals have to be the same. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. So that is false. Also, it's kind of like they're checking their work. It's like they plugged in 6 on both sides, and we're seeing if it's actually equal or not. Okay, anyway, false. Number 3. 3, 5 plus 2 equals 11. 5 times 2. Did I write this right? Yeah. All right. So, yeah, make sure you do order of operations. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 11. 2, 1 of each. On that one, if you were to show your work, you could just write that part, basically. 21 equals 21. That would be showing your work. Okay, number 5, is the given number a solution to the equation? 5x plus 1 equals 2. Okay, I'm writing all these down because I want something to point at. You don't need to necessarily write everything down until number 13, then you do. Okay, so basically they said we solved it and we got x equals 5, and we're supposed to say did they get the right answer or not. Okay, so this is what they're saying. It's still true false, basically. Although they put yes or no, not true or false. So if I plug this in, what's 5 next to the x mean?
Times x.
Times. So if I plug in x is 5, this would be 5 times 5 plus 1 equals 2. Is that true or false? False.
No.
That'd be like 26. So that's, well, you can put false. They put no in this section. Okay. Number 7. Okay, this time we're plugging in 3.24, which is a bit of a mess for me. E minus 8 equals negative 37.16. This would be a little over negative 28 minus 8, negative 30. Yeah, that seems like it could be right. Yeah, I'd probably use a calculator. Just plug that in right there and then see if it's the same as what they say. And yeah, it is right. Okay, number 9. Make sure you follow the directions on number 9. It says what should be done to both sides of each equation to solve. Name the property. Okay, we're not going to name the property of equality. I'll mention what they mean, but I don't think it's that important. So back on my first example, we subtracted 3 on both sides. So they call that the addition property of equality. Even though we're subtracting, because subtracting is like adding negative 3. So if you add or subtract, they call that the addition property. And if you multiply or divide, they call that the multiplication property of equality. Not that important. So, okay, basically all they're asking is what's the step to solve? Let's see, where should we start? Chase, what step would solve this equation? What would you do to solve this?
Subtract 7 from
Yeah.
13.
Yeah. So maybe I should write out the word subtract, but just minus 7 is fine. Number 11. Joe, what would you do to solve that one? Okay, so we're trying to get x by itself. So what's it mean when 4 is right next to the letter?
Oh, divide by 4.
Right, it means 4 times x. So to get rid of a times 4, we're going to divide by 4. Okay, now we're not actually going to divide by 4. We're just going to write divide by 4. They would call that the multiplication property of equality. Because dividing by 4 is like multiplying by 1/4. Okay, 13. All right, this is where you have to start showing your work. And here's what I want to see. The problem, the step, and the answer. Just like I'm doing it. Okay. Shelby, what would we do to solve 13? Right. Go ahead and show it on both sides. Later on, I might be less strict about this, but like this first week, I'm going to make you do it like this. Okay, show that you're getting x by itself by subtracting 3, and then, of course, the answer is right there. Anybody who does not do this on the evens will be getting them wrong. All right, 15, b minus 14 equals 62. If you like a super neat answer sheet, that's fine, but you still have to have a sheet where this stuff is written. All right, Austin, what would we do on this one? add 14. Two x equals 5. All right, Keegan. Okay, to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 2. All right, because times 2 and divide by 2 cancel out. What is 5 divided by 2? What's another? It is 2.5. What's another answer?
2.
Okay, 5 halves. 5 divided by 2 is also 5 halves. This is how our book does it, and it's definitely the easiest way. Because I don't want, like, if we get, like, let's say 117, negative 117 divided by, like, 13 or something, this is not a nice answer. And I don't want you guys putting weird decimals that you have to round off. This is an exact answer, and you don't have to change it to a mixed number. So, this is my preferred answer. If you put 2.5, would I count it wrong, or 2.5? No, I'm not quite that picky, but just do that. Now, if it reduces, let's say it was 10 divided by 4, that doesn't divide well either, but it does reduce. If you divide both of these by 2, it does reduce to 5 over 2. Okay, so you don't have to change it to the mixed number. You always have to reduce it if you can, which that's not the same thing as changing to a mixed number. Alright, did I copy that right? Yes. Okay, Trace, what do we do on this one?
Would you multiply 9 and 8?
Yeah, so c divided by negative 9, so to get rid of divide by negative 9, we're going to have to multiply by negative 9. What happens is, if I write it this way, this happens, basically. And they just go away. So the right side, don't forget your negatives, is going to be times negative 9. So those cancel out. Negative 8 times negative 9, positive 72. Oh, by the way, what if it was written like this? What would we do?
You do times negative 9.
You still times negative 9. Times 9 to get rid of this. Multiplying by a negative gets rid of the negative. So you'd still multiply by negative 9. Even if it was up here, you would still multiply by negative 9. Okay. Nope, not doing that section. 25. All right. Hallie, what's our step on this one?
Subtract.
Subtract 1/2. Okay. Now to subtract fractions, we need a what? Common denominator. So if I multiply this by 2, it'll be 4 2/4. 1/2 is the same thing as 2/4. So it's kind of like we're subtracting 2/4 on both sides. So 3/4 minus 2/4 is 1/4. Here, I'll show my work a little bit more. All right. 4/5 y equals 24. All right. Savvy, what do we do on this one?
27. You're dividing 24 by 4/5.
Right. So 4/5 is multiplied to y, so we have to divide by 4/5. Now, you could just plug in like 24 divided by 4/5. Does anybody know how we would do this by hand? 24 over 1 times 5/4.
Do you want us to do that or not?
No, I don't care. But you will have to remember even later on in algebra that when you divide a fraction, it just flips it. So this reduces to 6 and 1, so 6 times 5, and 1 times 1, so it's just 30. If you plugged in your calculator 24 divided by 4/5 or 24 times 5/4, you should get the same answer both ways.
How does when you're dividing something you never get lost?
How many halves go into 2?
4.
Oh, 2.
4.
Okay.
Because it takes 2 halves to make 1, so 4 halves. So that's like 2 divided by a half. It takes more fractions to go into something. So you just, yeah, so this means how many 4/5 can go into 24? And the answer is 30. It's kind of like 4/5 is like 0.8, like 80 cents. How many 80 cents profits would you need to make $24? And that would be 30. I don't know. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's move on. 29 b minus 3.89 equals 0.9. Hold on, I think it's 3.89. All right, Nadia. What's my step here?
You add 3.89 to 2.49.
Okay, so yeah, the decimals should be lined up there for me to do this, so. Yeah, should have written that neater. B equals 4.38. Let's see, where are we going? 40? Two W equals 1/9. Alright, Gracie. Oh, oops. Alright, well, I've got it up here, so let's go ahead and do this one. No. Okay, so what is happening between the 2 and the W right here? What's it mean when they're right next to each other? Multiplying. So how do I get rid of a times 2? Divide by 2. Okay, I like using the division bar. I mean, you could, it is like this also. So times 2 and divide by 2 cancel out. That was the point. So over here we just have W. And on the right side we're going to have whatever this is, and that'll be what W is equal to. That's the answer. Okay, how would I do 1/9 divided by 2 without a calculator? Now, the calculator you can just plug in this, or you don't need the division bar, but multiplying by 2 is the same thing as, or sorry, dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So it's 1/18. D divided by 1.3 equals 1.24. Okay, Savannah?
Okay, so you multiply by 1.3.
Yeah. So I use the dot. This is kind of annoying because the dot doesn't show up very well. But if you use an X, you're going to run into problems because a lot of these problems have X's on it. Okay. Anyway, divide and multiply cancel out. We get D equals. So too much brain work for me. 1.612. Okay, I already did that one. 35. 21.2 equals y plus 1. All right, what's different about this problem? They put 0.7. A lot of times I just skip the 0. But what is different about this problem? Right. Usually we have the variable on the left side. A lot of times it doesn't though. So now we're trying to get the y by itself on the right. So Anaya, what's our step here?
You subtract 0.7.
The variable, the y wants to be by itself. So plus and minus 0.7 go away. 21.2 minus 0.7. Alright, 37. 4 times the number is 20. So write the equation and solve. So Leighton, how do we write 4 times the number is 20?
4 times 3 equals 20.
Okay, so yeah, to show multiply, you just put the number next to the variable. So when it said a number, you just put a letter in there. Is means equals. So 4 times a number is 20. All right, when Leighton, what would the step to solve be?
You divide A, or 4 on both sides.
So A is 5. Okay, 39. Emma made $37.80 for babysitting 6 hours. How much did she earn per hour? Okay, here's the problem. A lot of us would probably try to solve this without writing it as an algebra equation. Algebra is more useful when the problems get bigger and more complicated. Algebra is more handy. These one-step things, a lot of you would probably not think of it algebraically. I probably wouldn't think of it algebraically, but just for practice, we need to set up an algebraic equation on these two. So on 39, so if you're getting paid per hour, how do you figure out how much you're going to get paid? You guys are probably too young to work, right?
We divide it. So you do 6x equals 37.8.
Right. You do, let's see, it says she worked for 6 hours. So you do the number of hours times what she gets paid per hour. And that gives you the total amount she's going to make, right? Probably half of you will work at Chick-fil-A within the next 2 years. That's how it's going to work.
I saw Brooke yesterday. Yeah, that's because she works.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have seen her yesterday because yesterday is Sunday and it was her birthday.
You mean Saturday.
Saturday. Sorry, guys.
She's making up stories.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're gonna get like, I don't know what you start off at, like say $8 an hour, and then let's say you work 5 hours that day, and so you're gonna get 8 times $5. So what's her name works 6 hours,
what's her name?
but we don't know her hourly pay. I'm gonna call it P, for how much she gets paid per hour, or maybe call it H for hours, or no, hourly pay. Never mind. Okay, but we know she's gonna get $37. She got $37.80. Okay, so that's what it looks like as an equation. And then, Isabel, what would you do to solve that?
Divide by 6.
Yeah.
So do 1 and 6. And come back to 1.
Let's see, I think this is like $6.30, which is below minimum wage.
Working now?
I think minimum wage is still $7.25.
I think it's like $7.10.
I think it's $7.25. That's why I believe it is. So this means she got paid $6.30 an hour.